Alright everybody, welcome back to the channel here. Unfortunately, we lost all the bodywork footage of the Firewall. So we tried to salvage what we could and piece some stuff together. So we kind of started about halfway through. And I hope you guys enjoy it. All right, guys, today is Sunday, March 5th, 2023. We left off a few days ago where this thing was in epoxy, I believe on last Saturday. I did come in on Monday after work and put some time in with some filler over areas like I said in the video, all this area section right here basically. I was gonna go for some polyester primer in this area. And I went to open up, I had a brand new gallon of Super Build 4-to-1 Evercoat Super Build that was about a year old. Never been opened. Brand new, it kept it in the closet in the house. Went to open it and the thing was completely solid. So unfortunately I had to throw that away, which really surprised me. I thought maybe they'd last a little longer inside, especially being unopened, but it was toast. So I opted for this other product here. Uh-oh, we got a visitor. U-Pole 2253. What I did was I did the filler work, blocked it with 80 grit, went over it a little bit with 180, and then 3 coats of that high build. And so what I'm going to do now, it's a lot flatter. I mean, obviously you can't tell in the video, it's just primer. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to guide coat this whole thing, and I'm going to go over it with probably 180, the whole thing, and then go another round of primer, and that should be about it. Also yesterday, Bobby G came over, and we deleted the wiper on the cowl. So obviously we deleted the wiper motor entirely. And like I've shown previously, we put this plate over it, and we have a pretty significant hole cut out behind it where our wiring is going to come out for the motor, for the LT. So no wipers. I was originally gonna have this completely molded, solid, but that's a lot of work, and I'm not sure how it would actually look on the car. I mean, I don't know if it would line up good with the hood and stuff like that. So we kind of ditched that idea, and we just went with just the wiper delete. So all he did was put some sheet metal in and welded it up and put some rattle can on it for now. So we're going to keep this factory look here, but we did delete the wipers completely. So enough yakking. Get this thing in guide coat and start sanding it. All right, so I got this thing guide coated real quick using 3M dry guide coat, which I personally don't like. I prefer the Merca brand. It feels like the Merca brand sticks better. This one just kind of, see what I mean? It just blows off. But anyways, went ahead and dry guide coat that also where we deleted the dash speaker. So I'm gonna be using the Sunlight 180 grit on a roll, and probably Durablock. This is a hard rubber block, so it doesn't flex at all. And then we have this one, which it's hard on one side and a little, well, it's still stiff, but not as hard as the other side. And it has these circles, so you get a little more cutting action with these. I just think you have all these edges that are, cutting. So anyways, gonna knock this stuff down. Shouldn't take very long, maybe an hour if that. And I'll bring you guys back once we get some more primer on it. All right, here we are. It's been about an hour and a half or so, and I got this thing blocked down at 180. Really not a whole lot of action. Had to use a little bit of spot putty right there. But all blocked down pretty good. pretty good. These block down really nice, the body mounts. So what I got is 10 ounces mixed up of the U-pole. We got a lot of wasps in here. The U-pole, 4-to-1. It's pretty good stuff. It's really thick. It's almost like a kind of diluted poly primer. It's really thick. So I just mixed this up right now, about 2 minutes ago. So I need to get it going. It is a mild 77 degrees, 50% humidity. It feels great. So this should be enough for 2 coats. I'm going to give it 2 coats, let it sit. I also block down the speaker, so that's nice and flat. Really nothing to show on there. So we get the stuff sprayed. I'll bring you guys back to wrap it up. All right, here we are. It actually took about 8 ounces for 2 coats. Pretty straightforward. Sprayed it with a 2.0 tip, about 28 psi or so. Full fan and full fluid. So just kind of spotted in the speaker. Looks exactly the same it did 3 hours ago. But this is going to be the last round of 2K primer for the Firewall. I really like the way that molded out. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to let this sit for a few days, probably come back during the week and guide coat it again, and probably go maybe 320 or 400, and then I'm gonna get it in epoxy to lock it in, and the Firewall is done. And then I'm going to proceed, basically work my way back on this car, start from the rockers and work my way back. So next up is going to be the dash. Well, before I get ahead of myself, I want to lock this thing in epoxy. So basically it's moisture, resistant or whatever, until I get the whole thing in epoxy, and then wet sand the epoxy and then seal it with more epoxy, and then base coat. That's my plan of attack with this car, at least. That way this isn't sitting in 2K primer for however long it takes me to finish this body, and it's sitting in epoxy better. So basically I want to bring the whole car up to the level that this Firewall is. That's doors, fenders, and trunk and hood. So it's going to be a while, and then spray everything within like a week's time or something, so there's no color variance or anything like that. But anyway, so the next order of business, like I say, is going to knock that down and get an epoxy, but then I'm going to move to the dash, which the top of the dash isn't much. Probably needs about 1 round of 2K primer just to fill in any little pits that it has and stuff like that, and then sand it. But got to do a little bit of sanding around where we deleted. But I'm going to do the dash. Then I'm probably going to do the top rack. It's going to be either a satin or a gloss black, and then tape that up completely so it's done, and then work my way back from the rockers back. So I guess I'll be bringing you guys back here maybe around Wednesday, thinking maybe Tuesday, depending on temperatures, to go ahead and sand this out. All right, folks, today is March 8th, 2023. It's a Wednesday, and put a couple hours in here after work on the 60. So where I've got it so far is the Firewall is pretty much done. I sealed it yesterday in epoxy, so all the body work, all the 2K primer, and all that is done. There might be a couple little pinholes that need to fill with some spot putty, but really minor. So it's smooth to the touch, smooth to the look. See a little bit of a sheen on it. It's not laser straight. It goes in a little bit around this area, but I'm kind of over it. So what I'm gonna do today is I'm gonna move on towards the dash. So I did fill this speaker in, and last I left off I 2K primed it. So what I'm gonna do today is I'm going to knocked this down where we deleted the AC controls and the ashtray. Right now it's just got all metal over the welded seams, so we're going to knock that down, do a little bit of filler work if it's needed, and then I plan to sand the whole dash in 180 and then get some 2K primer on it, high build. As you can see, the dash has pits, so what the dash is in right now, other than the speaker grill delete, is it was sandblasted, and it's got 2 coats, maybe 3, of just straight epoxy. So as you can see, like I said, it's pitted in certain areas. So I'm just going to smooth it out, sand it down, and spray some 2K primer on it. And then probably 3 coats of primer, and then it should be pretty much done. It's not going to take much. I don't think it's going to take very much down there either. So I plan to get this done, you know, hopefully today and tomorrow. But the firewall's done. So what I plan to do when the time comes is basically scuff this down with 600 grit and re-seal it, re-epoxy it, reduced epoxy as a sealer, and go straight to base coat, hopefully sometime this summer. So let me get started here. I'll bring you guys back once I get some work in. All right, here we are. It's been about 2 hours or so, maybe a little longer, 2.5. And I got the filler work done over the butt welds. It wasn't much. This side just took 1 pass, the other side took 2 passes. And then I knocked it all down, and I went over the whole dash with 180, and I found a low spot right here, so I had to put a little bit of filler on that. But as you can see, a lot of the pits remain, but a lot of them are gone. So I'm pretty confident that 2, possibly 3 coats of this 2K high build are going to fill that. I'm not worried about that. But actually, you see a little bit of red specks. What that is was where the factory tar or whatever it is that the aluminum trim was stuck to, that was still stuck in that area, and red paint under it. So when I took that off, you got red paint. So anyways, I'm gonna mix up, I'm using this U-pole, which I mean, it's okay, it works, but it's not my favorite by any means. I mean, I think I like the Tamco better, but I prefer the SPI. I'm gonna go ahead and use it up because I got it, but I don't think I'm gonna be using it on the body. I'm gonna be using it probably on knick-knack stuff, like possibly this top rack when the time comes, which is next. Probably the glove box door needs paint. Just miscellaneous stuff. Maybe use it for some stuff in the trunk, but it sands. I don't like the way it sands. It seems like it's really hard to cut with 400 grit, which is what I did on the Firewall. So I mean, whatever. It's good, but it's not great. I think I'm gonna mix up 10 ounces. A lot of guys, there's a lot of videos out there actually that show you how to mix this stuff. You find out where it's at, 4-to-1. I mean, it also says right there, 4-to-1. In English and foreign languages. But me personally, I find it easier to just go by ounces. So off the top of my head, I'm thinking probably like 3 to 4 ounces per coat of this dash. And I want 2 coats, maybe if I could squeeze 3. So I'm just going to mix up 10. So that would be 8 ounces of primer, which is 4 parts of 2, and 2 ounces of hardener, which is 1 part of 2. So you get 10 ounces. I prefer doing it that way. I mean, if you wanted the next step up would be, 15, which would be 12 and 3, or you can do 1 and 4 to make 5 ounces. So I prefer doing it by ounces like that versus reading this cup. Also, some of these cups are off. So if you guys are wondering, like you're mixing your stuff, it mixes 4-to-1, and after you're done, you got primer left, but you don't have no hardener. Check your cups. Anyways, I'm gonna mix up 10 ounces. I'm gonna go ahead and spray it with the 2.0 like usual, and I'll bring you guys back once it's done. All right, so here we are. I was able to squeeze almost exactly 3 coats out of 10 ounces. So pretty straightforward, it's just primer. But the dash speaker's gone for good. And the AC and the ashtray controls gone. We've got the AC vents cut out. So the glove box door is inside the house. I do have an emblem, a new dash emblem for that. I have a new NOS radio bezel. Got the Dakota. So we're moving right along. I think I'm gonna go ahead and cut off this little segment here, because what I wanted to do was get the firewall and get the dash basically one sanding away from paint. So I think what I'm gonna do probably tomorrow or probably Friday, I'll probably wait 2 days for this stuff to gas out, is come back and hit it with 400 and then epoxy. And then I'll probably mask it off and keep it masked off until the rest of the shell is done. Let me zoom out here a little bit. It's going to be several weeks before this shell is done.